of Bhagwan Sri Ram in Ayodhya. Now, for Ram Bhaks, as indeed for a majority of Hindus in this country, that moment on Monday, the Pran Pratishtha, it goes beyond politics. It is a return of Ram to the place of his birth after a 500-year wait. Yes, the more recent history of Ram Janmabhoomi has been very disputed, and in some episodes it's even been violent, something that's been underlined even by the Supreme Court judgment in 2019, which paved the way for the construction of the Ram temple in Ayodhya. But doesn't an occasion such as this, the Pran Pratishtha, as people in Ayodhya are saying, Lord Ram is coming back to his abode after 500 years, doesn't this offer a chance to bury these old wounds, to forgive and forget, and to move forward? And in that, has the opposition missed a trick? Has the opposition missed an opportunity by boycotting the Pran Pratishtha? We'll get to that in 1 second with our debate panelists tonight. But first, the story 3 days ahead of that massive event that is due to come on Monday.
भगवान श्री राम, माता सीता और रामायण की बातें समय, समाज, जाति, धर्म और क्षेत्र की सीमाओं से परे हर एक व्यक्ति से जुड़ी है।
भगवान राम कृष्ण ये तो हजारों वर्ष से थे। क्या दुर्गति थी हम लोगों की, और हम लोगों का कलयुग शुरू होगा 22 के बाद।
आज मेरा दिल टूट गया है और इस फैसले से करोड़ों कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ताओं का दिल टूटा है।
उस समय जो है बाबरी मस्जिद के ताले खुलवाकर और पूजा अर्चना रामलला की मूर्ति स्थापन करने का काम स्वर्गीय राजीव गांधी जी के समय हुआ।
அங்க கோயில் வர்றது எங்களுக்கு பிரச்சனை கிடையாது. ஆனா அங்க இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த மசூதியை இடிச்சிட்டு அங்க கோயில் கட்டினது தான் எங்களுடைய எங்களுக்கு அந்த உடன்பாடு கிடையாது.
ये देखिए, संविधान को मानते नहीं, लोकतंत्र को मानते नहीं, सभी संस्थाओं पर कब्जा करते, ईडी सीबीआई डरा के धमका के सबको खत्म करना चाहते हैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी।
So on the one hand, there's a boycott of the Pran Pratishtha. On the other, various opposition parties are doing their own thing on the 22nd, infusing religion, of course, with politics. So is it confused Mandir messaging? Number one, the Congress top brass, of course, has decided that they will be boycotting the Pran Pratishtha. But on that same day, Congress state units will be holding pujas across the nation on the 22nd of January. In fact, Rahul Gandhi in his press conference in Nagaland a few days ago had said that the Pran Pratishtha is a political event. It's a Narendra Modi event. But Dipinder Hooda of the party, who was there on the 15th on Makar Sankranti Day, did puja, took a dip in the holy Sarayu. He says that the Ram Mandir is actually the legacy of Rajiv Gandhi. You heard his soundbite a moment ago where he said the locks were opened when Rajiv was Prime Minister. The Shilanyas was done when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister. Digvijay Singh, Congress leader, says that the invitation was rejected by the Congress top brass as the holy seers, some of the Shankaracharyas, have said things which are discordant to the event. Some of them have decided not to attend the event as well. But Acharya Pramod Krishnam of the Congress says that the boycott will hurt tens of millions of bucks in the Congress party itself. And it's not just the Congress. Other opposition parties are also in this whole confused messaging. Kunal Ghosh of the TMC has said that the BJP is using Ram for booth-level politics. But on the 22nd of January, TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee will be holding a puja at Kali Ghat Mandir, and she will also be conducting a Sarv Dharm Sabha in Kolkata. So on that same day, Sanjay Raut of the Shiv Sena, of the Uddhav Thackeray faction of the Shiv Sena, he has asked, will the Mandir solve the problems of Manipur and Kashmiri Pandits who are yet to return to their homeland? But Uddhav Thackeray has said there are no bigger Ram Bhaks than Shiv Sainiks. He will in fact be offering prayers on that same day at the Kalaram Mandir in Nashik on the 22nd of January. In the Aam Aadmi Party, Saurabh Bharadwaj of the Aam Aadmi Party has said that the BJP is hijacking the Mandir ceremony for politics. But now, just yesterday, we had this announcement that the Aam Aadmi Party will be conducting Sundar Kand and Hanuman Chalisa programs across over 2,000 locations in Delhi. So on the one hand, you are criticizing the BJP for using religion, infusing religion into politics, which of course the opposition is well within their right to criticize. But at the same time, how different is what they are doing from what the BJP is doing? They too can be accused of the same thing, which is infusing religion in politics. Let me go across to Charu Pragya of the BJP, who's joining us, Riju Datta, spokesperson of the TMC, Pawan K. Verma, author and former diplomat, and Tehseen Poonawala will also be joining us, political analyst. Charu, so the contention by the opposition, the Congress, TMC, Aam Aadmi Party, etc., and you heard what Rahul Gandhi said yesterday, that this is a Narendra Modi event. This is a political event. You're milking religion for politics. They will also do puja, but they will not milk it for politics.
Look at the irony of their statement, Zaka. On one side, Congress is the very party whose workers enter Ayodhya Shri with party flags in hand. And then they go on to abuse Ram Bhakts in Ayodhya who object to these flags. And then they blame the BJP and they say BJP is politicizing it. It's really ironic and it's unbelievable that Congress still thinks that they can say all these things and get away with it. See, the India alliance is now in a fix. They understand that they cannot be seen at Ram Janmabhoomi on the day of Pran Pratishtha. So they are finding their own ways of doing damage control. The fact is, एक तरफ आप कहते हैं राम जी सबके हैं, भगवान सबके हैं. So you are amongst the privileged, luckiest few who's had the opportunity to be there on 22nd, and what did you do? You let it go. You completely let it go. India Alliance together could have sent a very big delegation because everyone was invited. Yet they are the ones who decided to abstain. So now they cannot cry out and say that it's become a BJP-centric event. Okay. Another thing is that I made a whole list of how the politicization is being done by the opposition leaders, not the BJP. So let me begin with Congress. For the first time ever in the history of Congress, they remembered Saryu. For the first time, they decided to go for a holy dip in the Saryu. Now they want to do pujas on the 22nd, but they cannot do the same puja on Ram Janmabhoomi. That they have decided to boycott. So very, very contradictory stand. And then the same Congress today, who is saying that ये तो मोदी जी का है सब कुछ, they were the ones who are still talking about ताले हमने तुड़वाए थे, forgetting very conveniently, consequently what they did. ताले जरूर तुड़वाए होंगे. उसके बाद they were the ones who filed an affidavit saying that Ram is a mithya, that Ram is a figment of imagination. There is no historical proof of Bhagwan Shri Ram. And then most recently, they tried their best to delay the hearing. And then Shiv Sena, they call themselves the biggest
one second, Charu, let me open this up to others also, please. Give me a moment. Let me go to Riju Datta. Riju Datta of the TMC. You know, Mamata Banerjee has announced that she will be doing puja at Kalighat temple. Then there's going to be a Sarv Dharm Sabha on that very same day. Now, if you're accusing the BJP of using religion and infusing religion in politics, the TMC can also be accused of that same thing. Kalighat Mandir mein puja, you can do it on 23rd or 25th or 30th or whenever, but you have to do it on 22nd when the Pran Pratishtha is happening. Sarv Dharm Sabha you can hold any time, but the Chief Minister chooses to hold it on that same day. Why? That's also politics. That's also infusing religion in politics.
Zaka, you have to understand, you have missed a point. Mamata Banerjee said that she'll start her Sampriti rally by holding a puja in Kalighat Mandir, and then she will visit the nearby Bhawanipur Gurdwara, one of the masjids which is nearby Kalighat Mandir, and then she will start the rally. See, we have never used religion in our manifesto. We have never used politics in the name of Lord Ram for our dirty politics and all sorts of illegal activity. Jai Shri Ram was at one point of time a very warm greeting in this country. BJP has turned it into a lynching war cry. They invoke Prabhu Ram every election, even if it's a panchayat, they will invoke Prabhu Ram. Now, BJP is saying Narendra Modi has given, their spokesperson is saying on channels, नरेंद्र मोदी ने प्रभु राम को घर दिया है. अरे नरेंद्र मोदी क्या राजा दशरथ हैं जो उनको घर बना के दे रहे? It is not about Prabhu Ram Zaka, it is about Prabhu Modi. We are not going to the event of, it is not against Prabhu Ram. Prabhu Ram lives in our heart and we celebrate him on a daily basis, and we will celebrate him on a daily basis till the day's end. But the problem is We are boycotting the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. The same reason why the Shankaracharyas are not boycotting. Will BJP call Shankaracharyas anti-Hindu now?
Okay.
What they are saying कि अगर नरेंद्र मोदी प्राण प्रतिष्ठा करेंगे पूरी शंकराचार्य से तो हम क्या वहां जाके ताली बजाएंगे?
No, there is a
You have to
significant
understand.
difference. There is a significant difference, and let me ask Pawan Verma this: the Shankaracharyas don't have to contest elections. TMC and Congress and AAP and Shiv Sena have to contest elections in 3 months' time. And clearly, and you can blame the BJP for this, or you can call this smart politics. The fact is, the BJP is going to milk this in the elections. It's as simple as that. I mean, you can't fault them because the opposition chose not to go. Mr. Kharge, Mr. Chaudhary, Adil Chaudhary, Sonia Gandhi, they were invited. Mr. Pawar was invited. He chose not to go. So then to turn around and say, oh, BJP is going to use this in the Lok Sabha election, you could have also done it.
Thank you, Zaka. Let me put my point straightforwardly. I think the opposition has displayed a remarkable degree of confusion in response to an event which they knew is going to happen. I say this because on this occasion, the Ram Mandir has been built pursuant to a Supreme Court judgment.
Yeah.
On an earlier occasion, the attempt was amaryadit, not in accordance with what Maryada Purushottam stands for, because it was illegal and condemned by the highest rungs of the BJP leadership as well. But now it has followed due procedure as a result of the Supreme Court judgment. That judgment was welcomed by almost all opposition parties, with the perhaps exception of Mr. Owaisi. But if you have welcomed the judgment and you know that as a consequence of it a temple will be built, I find that the opposition is singularly unprepared to respond to the fact that given that the BJP, for whatever reasons, Astha or politics, was from 1990 when L.K. Advani ji began his Rath Yatra, was at the forefront for the movement to build a Ram temple, will use it also, apart from Astha, for political dividends.
Yes.
Every political party in this country seeks to use, whether it admits it or not, an emotive issue which has electoral resonance. And on the eve of the 2024 parliamentary elections, the BJP has decided to build a temple whose actual Pran Pratishtha was announced months ago. How was the opposition prepared to handle it?
Yeah.
One response could have been that this is not a BJP event. This is a result of a Supreme Court judgment. And therefore, if we are Ram Bhakts, will pay obeisance to it, and this is not a Narendra Modi Abhishek, but actually a reinstallation of Ram Lalla. Another would be to say that on the 22nd, since it seems the BJP has appropriated this event completely for political reasons, we all together will go separately and offer our obeisance.
No, that they are saying. That they are saying
today,
that we will go whenever it is open for darshan for the rest of the public. We will go at a later date. We just don't want to go there on the 22nd and give Mr. Modi this legitimacy that the opposition is also taking part in this Pran Pratishtha. But I think this goes beyond politics, and I want to ask Tehseen Poonawalla this, because I spoke to the Foreign Minister Jaishankar yesterday, and he said, the world is watching. It's not just people here in India who are watching. And if we as Indians are not proud of our heritage, and like I said at the top of the show, I'm not saying it's an undisputed heritage. Of course, the recent history of Ram Janmabhoomi has been extremely contested and even violent, and that's been noted in the Supreme Court order. But isn't this an opportunity, the Pran Pratishtha, when the entire country is coming together, it's like a national festival, for the opposition to say, okay, this is an opportunity for us to bury the wounds of the last 30, 40 years and let's forget, forgive and move forward. But the opposition is, in a sense, clinging on to the past. You heard what Dipinder Hooda said. Rajiv Gandhi ne शिलान्यास करवाया, Rajiv Gandhi ne ताले तोड़े. So either you are proud of those decisions of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, or you are now coming to this pass where you are saying, okay, we are boycotting it because it's a Modi event.
Good evening, Zaka. Thank you so much for such a long question. I'll answer it in 3 simple parts. To your first part of the question, that you quoted the real minister and the honorable external minister of India saying that that we should be proud of our heritage. Do you think Riju Datta here, I'm not a fan of TMC, is not proud of his heritage, or Mr. Pawan Verma is not? Is it that now after 2014 we are proud of heritage? Because certainly, Zaka, my mother, because right now they're cleaning the whole temple, they're cleaning the temples, which is beautiful. My mother, who's a devout Muslim, has been doing this for the last 20 years. It's not started after 2014. Riju, I'll check with you in a later part. In Diwali, you didn't light diyas in your house? What is this that for opposition should be proud of our heritage? Are they not proud? So let's come to the issue at hand. Let's speak about the issue. Narayan Rani ji, a union minister who sits with the honorable prime minister in the cabinet, says, who are these Shankaracharya? I'm quoting him verbatim, source CNN News 18. Who are these Shankaracharyas? What is their contribution to Hinduism? Your question, Zaka, was to Riju and me, the opposition. Should we not be proud? All right. Champat Rai ji says, Modi ji is an avatar of Vishnu. Again, your question, should we not be proud of our heritage? Of course, it's not politicization. How can this be politicization? But these images,
no, one second.
Lord Ram is put,
one second.
Sir, nobody was interrupted. Please, may I have my thing?
I'm just making a correction. I'm making a correction before you proceed further.
Right.
And the correction is, when he meant that should we not be proud of our heritage, Ram is part of our heritage. By not going to a Pran Pratishtha of the,
I'll answer that. I understood your question.
Of the home of Ram.
I understood. I'll answer.
What message are you saying? Are you saying we are proud of that heritage?
I'll understand. Zaka, I understood the question. I'll answer. But allow me to, don't interrupt me, please. This is the image that your viewers see. Prime Minister Modi on poles in Ayodhya, and amongst the many posters of Prime Minister Modi is Lord Ram, smaller. Prime Minister Modi, bigger. Lord Ram is being put on poles along with Prime Minister Modi at Ayodhya Shri, the pious Ayodhya Shri. This is not politics, Razaka. Let me come to your question that I want to address. The fact of the matter is that the Honorable President of India has been invited. This is a cultural awakening for our country. I completely agree to it. I think it's a fabulous occasion. Why is the President not there? The President was there at Somnath Temple. Why is the President not there? So is, by this logic of Jai Shankar ji or the opposition, is the President also anti-Hindu, anti-India, anti-Modi ji, that she's not coming? She's also got, amongst the few who's got the opportunity. These are not the issues, Zaka. The issue is that today there is a program that is being held. The BJP has taken center stage. Let me ask you, when the Nirmoy Akhada got a seat, I'm not getting into that, they've been invited now, in the Supreme Court, they've been fighting this battle for the last 500 years. The BJP is a 50, 60-year-old party. Why was the Nirmoy Akhada not asked to distribute the invites? Why did it have to be the VHP? You know, Zaka, more than anyone, VHP is a political organization. You know it more than anyone. Why did VHP have to do it? Why did Champat Rai have to give it to VHP to distribute? Nirmoy Akhada could have done it.
No, one second. One second. One clarification. Tehsin, see, I'm only interrupting you. Sorry, I don't do this. Sure, but the only reason I'm interrupting is there are factual errors in what you're saying. The invitations were being handed over by the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust. That trust has some political people. It has non-political people also. One of the leading persons, one of the office bearers, one of the leading office bearers in that is a bureaucrat. Right? A former PMO official. Now, ex-bureaucrat. Now, my point is that I'm just underlining that, the invitations are not being handed over by just the VHP. The invitation is on behalf of the trust. And the trust has all kinds of people, not just political people.
I agree.
Go ahead.
So could that trust not have asked the Nirmoy Akhada, fought this battle for 50 years for 500 years to hand over invitation? May I ask you, Sarpanch Raja Ramchandra ji, you know who he is, Zaka? Pawan ji may know him. You know who he is? He's 100 years old. Every single court case from 1947, including the final one in Supreme Court, he attended. He was a representative of the Ram Lalla, because the Ram Lalla was fighting the court. He was a representative of Ram Lalla in every single court. He's not there. He's not attending.
Okay.
Are these not valid questions that we ask?
Yeah, absolutely. I never said for a moment that these are not questions or these are not valid or these questions should not be asked. Good that you asked them. Let Charu Pragya now please respond. Charu Pragya, Nirmohi Akhada, and I know Kartik Chopra is a dear friend. Tehseen is saying they should have been the ones who are inviting. They are not anywhere in the scene. He's also referred to a Sarpanch ji, who he says was the one who was fighting all the litigation.
Raja Ramchandra ji.
Raja Ramchandra ji, who is fighting all the litigation from 47 on behalf of Ram Lalla. He's also not been invited. Please respond.
So, this whole politics which is being played out, Zaka, over who's invited and who's not, I find it to be in really bad taste. From my understanding and the understanding of every thinking person in this country is that everyone's invited. It's everyone's Bhagwan Ji. Except that a special few people have been sent specific invites. Unfortunately, a lot of those people have sidelined those invites, calling it political. Now, Tehseen says certain things have become political. Tell me who is not political. Tehseen is not a member of any political party. Yet, he is the most political person I know. So, please, let's not confuse the two. Because when the Ram Janmabhoomi Trust is making a list and going home to home inviting people, you should respect that. See, the politicization angle has started from the opposition, and I wish it had not happened, because this is a resurgence of culture in our country. It's a massive event, and I cannot think of another event which even comes remotely close since our independence. It is that big an event.
But Charu, sorry again. What Tehseen and Riju, etc. are saying is, will you then guarantee the people who are watching this broadcast that in the Lok Sabha campaign, which I believe is due to begin right after the Pran Pratishtha happens on Monday, that the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, all your leaders of the BJP will not use the Ram Mandir inauguration in your political speeches? I mean, that's a matter of faith, right? Opposition is playing politics, you are not playing politics. So, don't refer to what happened on January 22nd.
Right, and that's a very good question, Zaka. But tell me, since the day of the inception of our political party, have we not talked about being a staunch part of the Ram Janmabhoomi movement? Have we not done it? Have we not included that in our manifesto year after year after year? Yeah. So much so that our Prime Minister and leader had always said that the temple is going to be made and be made in the right way. There is nobody who will be able to challenge it when the temple comes up. We did not take any shortcuts here. We have worked day and night. Our people have worked day and night. And see, I can say this very, very confidently. Up till now, it was not necessary that every Ram Bhakt was a supporter of Bharatiya Janata Party. But going forward, that is definitely what's going to happen, looking at the way the opposition has been reacting. And if it was so easy to get this verdict and to push for this verdict actively, why did it take us 550 years? It needed a Narendra Modi.
So Riju, the point is, and you can't fault the BJP for this, in every one of their manifestos from 1984 onwards, they have put Ram Mandir, abrogation of Article 370 and Uniform Civil Code.
Yes.
Every manifesto of theirs, they've been absolutely public about it. And now, when the crowning moment is coming to say that, oh, no, they are playing politics, they've been doing this for the last 30 years. If you had a problem, you should have opposed then.
Zaka, that is exactly the point. I applaud Charu ji for stating the obvious. And it is high time, not Charu ji on a channel, it is high time Narendra Modi comes out and says that this is a BJP event. It is the BJP who have brought Prabhu Ram home and we are going to use it in politics. Done, finished.
No, but the BJP has been saying that in every manifesto, Riju,
no,
from
you can't
1984.
Put words in my mouth. Zaka, can I get 20 more seconds, please?
1 second, Charu. But the BJP, Riju, has been saying this in every manifesto, and the manifesto is as political a document as it gets. They've been saying that from 1984.
But for the Pran Pratishtha, Pradhan Mantri is saying we are bringing Lord Ram home. It is not a political event. Now please tell me this. They did a Safai Abhiyan.
Yeah.
All the BJP leaders of this country, from top to bottom, did a Safai Abhiyan. What kind of a sad drama that was. Tell me one mandir in this entire country from Kashmir to Kanyakumari.
It's drama to keep your temples clean. No, Zaka, please allow me to speak.
1 second, Charu. Let him finish his point. What you're saying it was drama.
Yes, and why I am saying this
is
because there is not one single mandir from Kashmir to Kanyakumari which is not washed on a daily basis. It is done on a daily basis every day, whether it is in my house, whether it is Kaligat.
All right, Charu, quick response and then I'll go to Pawan Verma after that. Yeah, Charu, quick response, yeah.
I mean, the extent to which some politicians will go just because of Modi hatred. Let me tell you one thing. What you're calling drama is actually a change in thought processes. Modi ji, when he started the Swachhata Abhiyan in 2014, has helped our country get to a point of better sanitation, but maybe you missed that point. Also, very importantly, political parties are formed on a social reason. Mr. Datta, let me finish, please. Political parties, all of them, his included, are all formed on a social reason. All of them. Our political party was also formed on a social reason, a cause of the people which was taken up by the leaders of Bharatiya Janata Party in all their wisdom. The cause of the people was the abrogation of Article 370 and the construction of Ram Mandir.
One second, Riju. Riju and Charu, please yield. 1 second. I know things have gotten a little hot under the collar. So let me calm down the tempers a bit, please. Let me calm down the tempers a bit.
Mr. Datta,
let me ask Pawan Verma. Let's take Pawan Verma on the screen, please. Pawan Verma, you know, to say that BJP uses religion for politics, fair enough. I mean, I'm not, you know, disarguing with that point. But the larger issue is that the opposition's messaging needs to be clear, it needs to be coherent, and it needs to be politically sensible. Please explain to our viewers how the opposition and what the thinking of the opposition is, how it stands to gain politically by boycotting this function. You can say that if they were not invited, of course, it would have been a huge issue saying, you know, this is a BJP function, this is, you know, a Narendra Modi function. Opposition was invited. It's not just, in fact, my understanding is that none of the members of the cabinet will be there on the 22nd. So, to say it's a BJP function when invitations have been extended to the opposition and the opposition has boycotted it or decided not to go, then how is it still the charge of political? So please explain to our viewers what they stand to gain politically by not going for the event.
Jaka, let me make 3 points, which combines what Riju and Charuji and Tehseen have said. First of all, to some extent I agree that the building of the Ram temple is a symbolic sign of the reclamation of a perhaps much ignored ancient heritage, which needs to be asserted. I have written a book called The Great Hindu Civilization. In a conversation with a very senior RSS leader, he told me that, and I was to my surprise mentioned the exact page, that up to page 300 and something, what you say about reclamation of our ancient culture and Hindu heritage couldn't have been put better, but after that you become critical of us. And I said, I do because I am afraid that sometimes this assertion may lead to a very slippery slope where it not only becomes unlawful or sanctifies things which are abominable like bulldozer justice, but also may marginalize the multicultural, multi-religious and plural identity of India as sanctified and endorsed by the Constitution. That's point number 2. Point number 3, about the opposition. I have said before, and I respect individual leaders within the opposition, but as a combined Zaka, I have rarely seen a more ineffectual and electorally inefficient opposition. I say this not with joy, I say it with anguish. I say that because they were aware that the Ram temple is coming up. They had welcomed the Supreme Court judgment. They should have had a collective strategy of being part of that event, and if not being part of the event, to provide a coherent reason for it which has resonance with the people. And lastly, and most importantly, the opposition has singularly failed to come up with a pan-Indian counter narrative. If the BJP is politicizing Ram for electoral dividends, you can't fault it because it has been at the forefront for the building of the temple.
Correct.
Which party would not do it? Why did Rajiv Gandhi overrule the Shah Bano judgment, the reasonable judgment of the Supreme Court? That was also politics. Therefore, it was to be expected. What the opposition should have done is, expecting that, to prepare a coherent counter narrative
Okay.
which would appeal to the people, while accepting that Sri Ram is a popular, extremely revered. I have written a book on Tulsidas Ramcharit. I have written a book on the great Hindu civilization.
Okay.
I have written a book on Adi Shankaracharya. There are great aspects of this civilization.
Sure. Tehseen, you know, and I'll give, I have to get to the concluding part of the debate. The opposition a few months ago had decided to boycott the new parliament inauguration. For whatever reason, they said, again, Modi show, president not invited. Same arguments were put forth. Then what happened? They came to that same parliament building. Same debates were happening in the same parliament building that they boycotted. So basically, you just do this for a one-day show. And then again, in the case of the Ram Mandir, the opposition is saying, 22nd we won't go because it's a Modi show, but from 24th we can go. Either you're taking a principled stand and saying, we don't want to have anything to do with this, or you're saying, okay, let's be part of this Rashtra Parv as some people are putting it.
Thank you, Zaka, for that question. So let me divide that question into two parts. I completely concede to what Mr. Pawan Verma says, and that's something I've spoken about openly in all my interactions, that in my opinion, and if I was advising the India Alliance, then I would have had a visual where Mrs. Gandhi, Mr. Kharge, Adhir Ranjan ji, Mamta ji, Kejriwal ji, all the leaders who are invited go together as one show. That would be my advice to them. So they go together. That puts on, because I understand that the Prime Minister, on virtue of him being the Prime Minister, will steal the show. I completely agree. So you go together. Now we're talking pure politics here. But to the other part of your question, I don't agree with. It's very easy today to say, look, the opposition is not, what could the opposition do? They went to parliament and you had the same debate there. Zaka, 149 MPs were kicked out of parliament unfairly to stand up for a terror attack on parliament, a terror attack, Zaka. And not one person is asking or has the guts to ask the Home Minister of the country, why has he not spoken on it? Is this the Ram Rajya we are talking about? When your message today says Ram Rajya, the preempt's message says Ram Rajya, people in Manipur are suffering. Just now, the army has put out a statement saying that there's been large-scale violence 2 days ago in Manipur, last 2 days. Is this the Ram Rajya? Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, who has been roaming around in Ayodhya with some of your colleagues, is accused of molesting women. This is the governance we're talking about.
Okay.
That is what. Yes, that the opposition hasn't brought it forward. I agree with you. And I concede to Pawan Verma ji, the articulation should be better.
Okay.
But it isn't that it's for lack of trying.
Yeah,
let's be clear on that.
Charu, final word. 30 seconds, I've got to wrap up. Yeah.
Because Tehseen mentioned the so-called terror attack, let me remind him that Rahul Gandhi did, in fact, with all his friends and allies, stage a walkout. But after that, he turned up at a protest and said that they were very poor, unemployed people. Let's not be harsh on them. In fact, Congress lawyers are defending them in court as we speak. So please, let's not pretend you are holier than thou. In fact, you are very, very much two-faced, and politically you stand exposed for that. As for the Mandir of Bhagwan Sri Ram, it is made with the money of Bhakts. It is made with the money of Ram Bhakts, and they are the ones who are going to go ahead and make sure it becomes a bhavya event for all of us to remember for generations. Modi ji has been chosen as the one who's going to be performing the Pran Pratishtha, and we couldn't be happier. He's leading the country. He's going to be there, and opposition can only eat
the Prime Minister is not doing the Pran Pratishtha. Just to correct the factually.
He's the second Yajman. He's the second Yajman for the Pran Pratishtha. Okay.
Yes, but he's a part of it.
I have to wrap up.
He's representing the people of this country.
I'm completely out of time, but we'll leave it at that. Whether the opposition has made a mistake by not going, whether it'll be politically suicidal for them, we will know in the course of the next few months. But I want to shift focus to another story, and an equally pressing story, this one, a story that all of us here in India should be paying closer attention to, and that is a day after Iran launched strikes against Pakistan targeting the terror group the Jaish al-Adl in Balochistan, Pakistan has now claimed that it has hit back. Today, the Pakistan Foreign Ministry put out a statement saying that they carried out coordinated military strikes against terror hideouts in the border between Balochistan and Iran. The Pakistani claim is that a number of terrorists were killed in that operation. The Pakistani government has said that despite giving several dossiers to Iran, no action has been taken on these groups that are operating from Iran and targeting Pakistani assets and Pakistani interests. Now, amid the rising tensions, Iran has defended its military operations, saying that it has every right to defend itself. Any country has the right to defend itself. And reacting to these tensions between the two countries, India's External Affairs Ministry has said that Iran's actions are that of self-defense, they are justified, and whatever is happening between Iran and Pakistan is a matter bilaterally between the two of them. So, we will try and make sense of what these tensions mean in a regional context, because you now have a situation where Pakistan is being encircled by three of its neighbors who have made the same accusation against Pakistan, that is, it uses terror groups to target its neighbors. It was India first, then Afghanistan, and now Iran as well. Let me go across to two very special guests who are joining us, Sushant Sareen and Major Janjua from Pakistan, for an analysis, a perspective on what this means and whether or not this could potentially open up yet another front in the ongoing Middle East war. All right, so how does one make sense of this story, and in which direction is it headed? Is it going to be more escalatory? There are going to be more strikes and counter-strikes between Iran and Pakistan, or will there be a de-escalation? Sushant Sareen is Senior Fellow with the Observer Research Foundation. Major retired Yasir Janjua, security analyst, joining us from Pakistan. Sushant, so yesterday you had Iran claiming that it's hit targets deep inside Pakistan. Today Pakistan has said that it has hit targets deep inside Iran. Do you see this settling here, or will neither country be able to climb off this escalation ladder, and do you see this getting protracted into a long drawn out battle?
Zaka, we'll have to wait and watch how this plays out. I don't think either country really wants to go up the escalation ladder, but then the question arises whether they can afford to back down. And if, for example, the Iranians back down right now, then what would they have achieved? So I think there will be a dilemma for the Iranians, because if Iran backs down at this stage and does not do anything more, then Iran will, to an extent, have left itself open to other players in the region who have so far been taking the hits from Iran without retaliating, who will now feel that, the only way to force some kind of compellence and compliance on Iran would be to hit out at Iran itself, which has not happened so far, except for the case of Pakistan. So there will be that dilemma for the Iranians, and if they hit back, then of course you go up the escalation ladder. Similarly, I don't think the Pakistanis would want to go up the escalation ladder, because that would open up a fourth front. They're already fighting on three fronts. There's the India front, there's the Islamist front with Afghanistan, there is the Imran Khan front, and now you have the Iranian front. I don't think the Pakistanis would want a fourth front to open up. So ideally they would want that, okay, fine, we've done a tit for tat, let's break off out here. But we'll have to see what exactly their calculations are to see, because wars often happen not out of rationality but out of irrationality.
Correct.
So we'll have to wait and see whether what form of rationality or irrationality prevails.
So, Major Yasir Janjua, the problem for Pakistan is that on all three sides, it is being hit by neighbors who have accused it for a number of years of using terrorism from its soil, but to no avail. Whether it is India on the east, whether it is now Iran on the west, or Afghanistan on the north. And all three of them can't be wrong. That at some point, Pakistan has to have this assessment of use of terror and terrorist groups, whether it's Jaish-e-Mohammed or Lashkar-e-Taiba on the east, or this Jaish al-Adl, which the Iranians are accusing it of subversive activity on Iranian soil. Pakistan has to make that calculation that it's not worth paying the price for, and being beset on all three sides by adversarial neighbors who now have indicated and shown that this whole nuclear bluff can be called out. You can hit deep inside Pakistan where they believe their security interests are compromised.
Okay, you are entitled to your point of opinion and your point of view, and I'm not going to sit here and try and change it. However, I have a responsibility to tell you the facts. The facts are that we have been telling the Iranians for a very long time. Iran is a brotherly country. We have very good relations. Despite the fact that, as of today or as of yesterday when all this started happening, There was a joint exercise, military exercise going on between the Pakistanis and the Iranians. There was an Iranian delegation in Islamabad. There were representatives from Pakistan in Chabahar meeting the Iranians. And 2 hours before the strike, Pakistani Prime Minister was meeting the Iranian Foreign Minister in Davos. So we have been telling this. Why I've told you is that we otherwise have very good relations with Iran.
No, but
We have been
doesn't that
telling
make
Iran-
it even more piquant, Mr.
Yeah.
Janjua? Because
Okay.
the Pakistan Prime Minister, the
I'm coming to
caretaker
this.
Prime Minister, was meeting the Iranian leader in Davos, and 2 hours
Right.
later they are
Right.
hitting
What I-
you 60 kilometers inside your territory.
Right. Right. And what they did was, 2 hours later, what they did was they killed two innocent boys and injured two girls, innocent girls. Right? We have been telling them that Balochistan Liberation Army and Balochistan Liberation Front have been hiding in Sistan, Balochistan area of Iran, which is an ungoverned area. Tehran does not have full autonomy over or full control over the area where these criminals or dissidents have been hiding inside Iran. We have given them accurate information in the past. We have given them the dossiers. Yet the Iranian government has probably been not able to control them, or there's lack of conviction
General
or
Janjua,
determination.
you're not answering the basic question that I asked you, that on all three sides, on the east with India, on the west with Iran, on the north with Afghanistan, you are completely being beset by neighbors who have made the same accusation. Now, not all of them can be wrong, or there is some truth to those accusations.
This is I'm trying to answer. That in case of Iran and Pakistan, we'll go step by step, and all three neighbors we can discuss threadbare. In case of Iran and Pakistan, it is the other way. What you're saying, it is Pakistan which is affected by BLA and BLF activities being staged from Iran. In case of Afghanistan, actually there is cross-border terrorism being leashed into Pakistan by the Tariq-e-Taliban Pakistan dissidents sitting inside Afghanistan. And Pakistan has been saying that to the Afghanis. Pakistan has not gone out inside Afghanistan and launched
who are the Jaish
and in case of India,
al-Adal, who are the Haqqanis, who are the Jaish and the Lashkar? Anyway, we won't get into all of that because those must be, noble folks doing noble work. But Sushant Sareen, the problem for Pakistan is, one, like I said, all three neighbors on the north, east and west have made the same accusations and have now demonstrated that they can hit inside Pakistani territory. The bigger problem is internal. Right now you have a caretaker, almost lame duck kind of a government. The incoming Prime Minister, whoever he or she may be, will have to deal with this issue. And you have a former Prime Minister who's in jail and who's also breathing down the neck of the army. So it's not just the external pressures, there's internal pressures as well.
That's right. So externally, Zaka, if you look at it, Pakistan has three official neighbors. China is technically not their neighbor, in the sense that China becomes their neighbor because of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. But otherwise, officially, they have three neighbors. They don't have full diplomatic relations with all three. Not with India, not with Afghanistan, and not with Iran. And yet, they want geoeconomics and they want all kinds of other stuff. So I don't know how that's going to work out for them. Number one. Number two, you have to agree, and I think Major Janjua is not being entirely truthful when he only puts the blame on the Iranians. The bottom line is that the entire border region between Iran and Pakistan is an ungoverned space on both sides to some extent. Because if you look at what the Iranians have been doing, the Iranians have actually been making forays into Pakistani territory even earlier. There's been shelling, there's been raids inside Pakistani territory. They've managed to cover it up, but this time around, it's kind of escalated to a point where there've been counter-retaliation. So it's a new situation in that sense.
Yeah.
Internally, again, and it's a new situation partly because of internal dynamics in both the countries. In Pakistan, for example, you have an army which is like a marauding force, which has taken control over the country, which is holding a sham election, which has put the most important and the most popular political leader in jail, dismantled his party, and yet not allowing a completely free and fair election to take place. The army is becoming unpopular. There are many people rising up against the army, protests breaking out in every nook and corner. All kinds of things are happening. Now, at this stage, if the army said that, okay, fine, we'll take this on the chin, we will not retaliate because we don't want to open a fourth front. What would happen to the army's reputation? The reputational damage that the army, which is already being lampooned, which is already being made fun of, which is being mocked, on social media, and that's really hurting them, because that's why they want to clamp down on social media and put people in jail for 10 years if you say anything against the army, as though it's some kind of a holy cow in Pakistan. At a time like that, for them to not be seen to be responding means, basically their political position is gone.
Absolutely, their standing, their reputation, it's a big question mark, no doubt about it. But Major Jandua, just take on what Sushant is saying. On the Afghanistan border for the last, God knows, 20 years now, the army has not been able to clean out the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. You're repeatedly facing attacks in the northern border. Vis-a-vis India, India is hit in Balakot, in the aftermath of Uri, India is hit. So again, that you can say, okay, that was some time ago. But now again, Iran is hitting you. And then to add to all of this, the army every single day, Imran Khan and his supporters are making straight up accusations against the army, and there seems to be no way that the army is able to shut down the PTI or PTI supporters, or even, bring down Mr. Imran Khan's popularity by a notch.
I have heard you. What Sushant was saying in his first reply and the second reply, I agree to most of it. His analysis is always spot on, and I like to listen to him. But the mere fact is, what he's saying, right, I just have to add certain things. When he says there are ungoverned areas on both sides of Iran and Pakistan border, I agree. But how many times can you demonstrate, or the Iranians demonstrate, or you bring me a documentary evidence when Iranians have come back and said to us, look, this is the list of people we want you to give to us or take care of? They have not. We have demonstrated that we have people on their side that we want back, and Iranians have not acted. Now, the fact is, that's part of Iran. Sushant, you are entitled to your opinion. I know you're not agreeing to me. Now, coming over to the army and PTI stuff. For example, before we go into there, we have made it very clear in the last few years. You don't like it, that's your choice. India did it in Balakot. You cut down some trees and killed some crows. We told you, unfortunately, you may not like it sitting on your challenge. We told you that we'll choose a time of our choosing, and within 24 hours we struck back. We downed your plane. Iran did it. They tried to mistake us or our armed forces because we are involved in elections and there is so much going on, and there is so-called, as per Sushant's statement, there is anti-army sentiment. Pakistan's armed forces are fully capable, and they have responded within less than 48 hours and told the Iranians, we've taken down 9 people.
We have to wrap it up at that, because I'm completely out of time.
Government has
I'd like to remind the good gentleman, the major from Pakistan, there was a gentleman named Abdul Malik Dighi, who was killed in 2010. He was the head of a group called Jundullah. And everybody knows, and I'm sure the major knows, so does Sushant, what Jundullah was and what it is now metamorphosized into. But we will leave it at that. Thank you very much to both our guests. We'll see how the story plays out between Iran and Pakistan. As Sushant said, right now it's difficult to say whether this will further escalate, but it seems like, at least for the moment, temporarily, better sense might prevail on both sides. That's a wrap. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll catch you again tomorrow night. Same time.
Presented by Dharma as a word has been confiscated by the common narrative of being a religion. Dharma means a law. There were various types of dharmas. Raja Dharma for the Raja, Grihastha Dharma for people who live in families, Guru Dharma for those who take up that position, various kinds of dharmas for different kinds of activity. That means rules and principles and ethics as to how one should function in a given position. But the most important dharma is Swadharma, the dharma concerned with oneself. That is a spiritual process, and that has taken the dominance, and today other dharmas are not being talked about. So what does Ramarajya mean? Is it about going back to bow and arrow times? No. It is about the values, the fundamental ethic that one should hold. When other people come under your influence, leaders who keep their personal well-being aside for people's welfare. This is Rama. Willing to sacrifice personal goals for the larger good, that is Rama. To address all negativity with equanimity and grace, that is Rama. No matter at what cost, to establish the rule of law or dharma, that is Rama. A constant striving to improve oneself, to be able to serve better every moment of your life, that is Rama. And if leaders aspire to become this, if they do anusthana on these qualities, there shall be Rama Rajya. When I say leaders, don't just think about political and military leaders or that sort. If you have just one more life upon which you can influence, if your influence is on one life or 10 lives or 1,000,000 lives or 1,000,000,000 lives, if you have the ability to influence and be a power upon another life, you must follow these 5 principles and you must create Ramarajya wherever you are. That's what it means. It is not just leader means somebody who is up there, either elected or a king or a military leader or a business leader. Yes, it's relevant to all of them, but it's important that we understand leadership means we have the opportunity to make a difference in another life, whether it's 1 or 1,000,000,000. That's not the point. Let's create Ramarajya, let's make it happen. Rama, 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 Rama. Namaskaram. Here we are just back from the Pran Pratishtha of Nandi and Mahashula at the Sannidhi in Bangalore. And of course, the whole country is agog about Sri Rama temple in Ayodhya. Rightly so, because people have been waiting for over 500 years and here it is. So there is a tremendous excitement in the country. What is this all about? The process of establishing or consecrating a deity is about stabilizing an energetic or pranic form that exudes prescribed qualities. The qualities that we ascribe to the deity are the same qualities that we hold high and aspire for. In this civilization that we refer to as Hindustan, we do not wait for divinity to descend, but nurture and cultivate that possibility within us. In this effort, creating a stable base within is vital, and that is called Anusthanam in Sanskritam and Anusthana in southern India, and Hindi-speaking people call it Anusthan. This is an effort to build a foundation of the divine possibility within ourselves, or turning this body into a living temple with purificatory processes and life-enhancing methods, making the body fit enough to house the divine. For all consecrations that we do,
Pakistan said on Thursday that it had carried out strikes inside Iran. The military action came a day after Iranian forces attacked what they called militant camps inside Pakistan. The Pakistan Foreign Affairs Ministry said that the country's forces had conducted precision military strikes against what it called terrorist hideouts inside southeastern Iran. A number of terrorists were killed, according to the statement released by the Foreign Ministry. In fact, a senior Pakistani security official, speaking on the condition of anonymity to the New York Times, said that Pakistan had struck at least 7 camps used by Baluch separatists about 60 kilometers inside the Iran border. The official also said that Air Force fighter jets were used and so were drones by Pakistan in these retaliatory strikes. But just a day before that, on Wednesday, Iran claimed it had conducted an airstrike inside Baluchistan province in northwestern Pakistan. The Iranian government later said that the strike was deep inside Pakistani territory and it showed that Iran was in a position to hit back forcefully at its enemies in any part of the world. It also came almost the same time as Iran claimed to have conducted strikes both in Iraq and in Syria. With these latest claims, Iran is showing a military prowess that it can use drones and missiles to target what it perceives as enemy activities even inside the territories of other countries. An emboldened Iran has been using its proxy forces like Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen against Israel and its allies since the war in Gaza began. Those actions, and now the attacks by Iran itself on other countries in the region, one being Pakistan, the other two being Iraq and Syria, these have now increased the risk that the war in the Middle East, which started off as a localized conflict between Israel and Hamas, could now enter a much more expanded regional phase. Iranian officials said that the attack in Pakistan had been aimed at terrorists who were threatening Iran, specifically a group called the Jaish al-Adl. But the Pakistani authorities reject that account. They say the deaths that were caused by the Iranian strikes on Wednesday included civilian casualties, and there were 2 children who were part of that strike. Pakistan denounced the Iranian strike as a blatant violation of international law. It also said in a statement put out Wednesday that it reserves the right to respond. But the history between both countries, between Tehran and Islamabad, has been beset with using proxy groups to target each other's civilians and each other's interests. Pakistan has for long maintained that Baluch separatists who have waged a low-level insurgency in Baluchistan, that's in the northwestern part of Pakistan, for decades now, they have got hideouts across the border in Iran. Similarly, Iran has accused Pakistan of not doing enough to contain militants who have targeted Iranian security forces at the border or sometimes even inside Iranian territory. But beyond the diplomatic protests, the warnings, the recall of ambassadors, remember both Islamabad and Tehran have recalled their ambassadors who were in the respective stations. But right now, it is not immediately clear if Pakistan, which mind you is reeling from a political crisis, also an economic crisis, and it's got elections coming up in a couple of weeks' time, whether the country is ready or in a position to at all to enter into a long-drawn conflict with Iran. The country is currently governed by a caretaker government. That government, of course, does not have the mandate of the people, but it will certainly put pressure on any incoming government in Pakistan to teach Iran a lesson, that action be taken and be seen to be taken. If Pakistan does indeed hit back and retaliate in a way that Iran deems as aggressive and Iran deems as violative of its sovereignty, then Pakistan and Iran risk getting drawn into a much wider Middle East conflict. Now, Pakistan, despite being an Islamic nation, so far has avoided getting into these proxy battles, whether it is between Israel and Palestine, or even for that matter, between Saudi Arabia and Iran. These are the major fault lines in the Middle East. But here's the catch. If Pakistan does not retaliate and is not seen as retaliating, then it will appear weak yet again. And that, of course, is going to have immense consequences for its army, both the standing of the army and also the prestige of the armed forces. In a country where for more than half of its post-independence period for the last 75 years, the army has controlled the levers of power, not reacting to the Iranian strike and not reacting forcefully enough would be detrimental for the army. But the delicate position that Pakistan finds itself in is further exacerbated with a caretaker government that's in charge until the election on February 8th. With the Iranian strike inside Pakistani territory, Pakistan was already confronting troubled relations with three of its neighbors: India on the east, Iran on the west, and of course, Afghanistan in the north. While India for long has been an adversary to Pakistan, Islamabad's ties with Kabul have also soured in recent months. Pakistani officials have often accused the Afghan Taliban of providing shelter to terror groups, including their ally, the Pakistan Taliban, which has resulted in multiple terrorist attacks inside Pakistan. Add to that Pakistan's recent policy of expelling undocumented foreigners, many of them Afghans, more than 1 million of them in fact by most estimates. That has further strained ties between Islamabad and Kabul. Over the years, both Iran and Pakistan have accused each other of sheltering terrorists along their shared 1,000-kilometer border. Tehran points its finger specifically at a group called the Jaish al-Adl. It's a terror group that operates in southeastern Iran and on the border with Pakistan. Iran has accused the ISI of using this group for carrying out multiple attacks within Pakistani territory and also on Iranian territory. Established in 2012, this group emerged from the remnants of what was called Jundullah, a Sunni terrorist organization. Jundullah's influence significantly diminished after Iran captured and executed the leader of that group, Abdul Malik Rigi. This was back in 2010. And then they took this new form and this new name as Jaish al-Adl. Back in December of last year, the Jaish al-Adl attacked a police station in southeastern Iran. And in that attack, almost a dozen police officers were killed. Soon after that attack, Iranian officials blamed weak border control measures between Iran and Pakistan and claimed that these terrorists had actually crossed over from Pakistan to carry out the assault on the police station. Pakistan, in turn, has also accused Iran of supporting separatists in Baluchistan, the province in the northwest. Baluchistan is rich in oil, it's got other natural resources as well, critical minerals, for example. It's been the site of an insurgency for a number of decades now, from certainly the 1960s onwards. Pakistani officials cite the 2016 arrest of a retired Indian naval officer Kulbhushan Jadhav in Baluchistan as proof that India is using its spies, backed by Iran, in fomenting and supporting the Baluch insurgency. The naval officer in question is currently under trial in Pakistan, despite the long years that have gone by since his capture. The strike that happened on Tuesday was not the first time that Iranian forces had hit deep inside Pakistan, but the attack was the deepest that we've seen inside Pakistani territory. Back in 2021, Iran retrieved 2 soldiers of theirs who were being held hostage by the Jaish al-Adl inside Pakistani territory. In 2017, the Pakistani Air Force shot down an Iranian drone well inside Pakistani airspace. Now, this latest Iranian strike amid the heightened political tensions in Pakistan just before this election that is scheduled for the 8th of February, it was seemingly timed to take advantage of what has been a political turmoil and economic turmoil in Pakistan for the last many years now. Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister, who's in jail right now, has repeatedly accused the Pakistan military of being weak. He's accused them of political interference and of removing his government. He has kept the pressure on the military despite him being in jail for a number of months now. In fact, perhaps because of that, his supporters have unleashed a barrage of criticism aimed at the country's military. In fact, the military and the current establishment, the political establishment in Pakistan, have struggled for a number of months now to contain the raging popularity of the former Prime Minister. And this is despite the fact that Nawaz Sharif, who was also a former Prime Minister, who was in exile for the better part of the last 4 years, he has now come back and is poised to win the upcoming election in Pakistan. But the political fire burns on amongst Imran Khan's supporters. The timing of Iran's strike is extremely important and, from a Pakistani point of view, extremely unsettling, because this could potentially lead to a larger stalemate between Tehran and Islamabad. Also remember, given the political crisis, the economic crisis that Pakistan has seen over the last 3 years, it has pretty much exhausted the people, it has exhausted state institutions, including the army. So Iran, at this critical moment, appears to see Pakistan in weakness, both politically and economically, and it is exploiting this moment of weakness to the hilt. But whether or not Pakistan can contain the fallout of this latest crisis, whether or not it will retaliate in kind and be seen as doing so, that is going to be the biggest political test for any incoming Prime Minister.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma.